Hi, welcome to follow another episode of Devs. My name is Christopher, and today we're visiting Umbra 3D in Helsinki. Umbra 3D is not a regular game developing studio because they don't actually develop any games, but their advanced technology has been widely used in a lot of great games. Do titles like Call of Duty, Destiny, or Witcher 3 ring any bells? Yeah, I thought so. In this first episode of Umbra, we're going to talk to Sampo Lappalainen, who's the active COO, and also to Yasin Bushnayev, who works as head of R&D. So let's go and check out what they're actually doing here. Let me see.
Excuse me. I think we had an interview scheduled.
Oh, sorry.
Sampo.
Christopher.
Nice to meet you.
Sorry, I passed out. I was enjoying your sunshine.
Yes, it's our quiet room where you're doing the right thing. This is the room where we relax.
That's what I felt. So you have quite a lot of nice rooms here, and you have a lot of people working. So how did this company end up as it is right now?
This is actually our 11th year in
Congratulations.
business. Thank you. And we're actually a spin-off company originally.
Okay.
So the technology, the origins of the technology was spun out from another company called the Hybrid Graphics, which currently exists as NVIDIA Helsinki. So that happened 11 years ago, and actually the same year NVIDIA came and acquired the Hybrid. Back in 2006, we had a product and an idea how to take it forward. And we had actually a few customers even in the video games industry. So we basically had a running start, and so we took it from there and started selling to the video games developers, and at the same time started to develop the product further. And over the years, we have actually re-implemented the whole thing a couple of times. Okay. So we are currently working at Umbra 4, which is actually the 5th iteration of the product, weirdly enough. But anyway, so we mostly working on the video games industry, licensing software to video games developers. I'd say something about maybe 50% of the big AAA, like the big blockbuster type of video games, use our technology for improving their graphics and making the games run smoother and faster. So games like The Witcher 3 and the Call of Duty series, Destiny, Fallout 4, Doom, games like that. They are like the archetypical Umbra games.
So most of our viewers probably know the titles that you mentioned, some really cool titles. How does your product go into why do they use you? Like, what do you actually do?
What does the product do?
What does the product do, basically? Give me a basic understanding of it.
Sure, it's rather simple, really, like on a high level. So what it essentially does for the game developers and for the game is it improves the frame rate, makes the game run faster. Okay. How it does it is it's a bit more complex. We are talking about the concept called the occlusion culling. In layman's terms, visibility or visibility determination. So Umbra figures out what parts of the game environment or the game world are visible to the player at any given time. Yeah. So that the game engine and the rendering engine can focus on the visible bits instead of having to waste resources on hidden stuff. So it seems really simple and easy to do and obvious even, but it's really complex math involved in there and lots of complex computations that you have to do.
So you're basically helping these big developers and smaller developers as well, because I saw you have a pretty interesting flexible price for your product. Depends on the size of the budget of the game and the size of the game studio. So it allows also for smaller game developing. You don't have to have a AAA.
That is true. That is true. So our sort of like core user base is the AAA developers, but we do have more affordable options for smaller developers. and also the fact that Unity is our customer. So all the Unity users get access to our stuff for free.
Oh, cool.
It comes along with Unity. So Unity is our customer there, and they're paying us as the license price, and providing their users with the cool tech that the AAA games use as well.
So how did you end up working at this company?
Right,
Another long story.
Another long story. It's actually it's the same story as with the company. So I've been here for a long time, and actually I worked for Hybrid before before ending up here. So I was with Hybrid, and then spent a few years at NVIDIA after the acquisition, and then rejoined my old colleagues, or my old colleague Otso, who's our CEO. I joined Umbra in 2008, so this is going to be the 9th year for myself in this company.
Okay.
So long ride.
For sure. And how do you feel about your future in the company? You're going to stay here until
I'm gray and old.
Gray and old.
Well, there are lots of interesting stuff happening. We're currently, as I said, we're working on Umbra 4, which is possibly the biggest undertaking not possibly, but it is the biggest undertaking in the company history. So we are expanding to other really, really big features. So we're not going to focus on just the visibility anymore. We're also going to go into optimizing the actual 3D itself.
Okay.
So we are implementing a product that's more like a holistic 3D optimization package, where we don't only implement visibility, but we also do content optimization and streaming to make it possible to take crazy big 3D worlds and put them to crazy small devices.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the Witcher 3 world running on a mobile phone or mobile VR even. So
is this something similar to what NVIDIA is working with their GeForce Now?
No, this is software. So we are basically building a sort of like this cloud service for optimizing and hosting 3D data.
Okay.
And the hosting part, the sort of like the 3D optimization happens in the cloud service, and the hosting makes it possible to stream the assets to any device, so that the devices don't have to store these massive environments locally. So we're doing much more than just optimizing the rendering. We're also making it possible to bring these massive environments to smaller devices.
Yeah.
And the uses are actually, they go much beyond gaming or video games. It's video games obviously they're very dear to us, and video games pushes the boundaries of 3D, right? So all the big innovations in lifelike 3D happens first in video games, or real time at least. But we are seeing great growth in other industries as well. Yeah. So industries like the architecture or construction industries, automotive, they are starting to use more and more 3D. And at the same time, we have these exciting devices like the VR, AR, HoloLenses out there that make these wonderful new use cases possible. So we see that as a great sort of like a great point of time for technology like ours to be out there. So basically we make it possible to bridge the gap between this like growing amount of 3D data and the new pieces of hardware that have extremely demanding requirements for the performance as well. So we are basically bridging the gap between these two paradigms.
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely living in interesting times because, as you said, there's a lot of new devices coming out, new technologies, and everything is becoming more lifelike and photorealistic. So I think we're in a very interesting period right now. And then I think you have a good position where you're gonna just keep on doing your job and supporting great titles. So I'm just interested, like, how did you get into that very highest echelon of game development of the biggest games? Like, how did they see you? Where were you out? Like, what was the first title that you could say that was like a AAA title.
Yeah, so, well, why we went there obviously is that we found it extremely fascinating. So most of us are big gamers and we always loved video games, so we wanted to work in the games. And at the same time we're like interested in programming and graphics, so putting together a product for video games developers that revolves around graphics was really natural for us. And how we ended up there, well, it's just a matter of going out, talking to people and finding the developers and telling them that this is our product, do you like it? And eventually you find a couple of people that are interested and then you sell it, they use it, they give you feedback, you improve it, and that's how it works. You get references and we've been around for 11 years, so we've had the time to grow the user base and get more famous in what we do, and it's been a long process, but yeah, it's lots of hard work, definitely. Not only in the R&D development, certainly lots of hard work there, but also in the sort of marketing and sales.
Yeah.
So that's something that traditionally Finnish companies are criticized for, that they don't do enough marketing and sales. They focus on the product and hope the product sells itself.
Yeah.
It's probably not true anymore, not as much as it was before, but for us it's always been like natural that we also focus a lot on the going out, selling and marketing our products.
So what was the first big title that you sold your technology to?
Right. Actually, back in the Hybrid days, we already sold a few licenses then of the precursor product of Umbra to, if you remember titles like Star Wars Galaxies and EverQuest 2. Those were the first users of the precursor technology. And the first Umbra, the first customer that we actually found ourselves and sold the product to was ArenaNet for Guild Wars 2.
Okay.
So those were the first ones. And like early on, we also sold to Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2. They changed the engine actually Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3. So they changed engines after that. So
okay.
They're not using anymore. But yeah, BioWare was early. Lots of these sort of like AA studios in the early days. Lots of MMOs in US and in China as well. China was a big market for us back in the mid 2000s or late 2000s. And yeah, MMOs and with the latest product, on the Umbra 3 that we're currently selling, that's when we got the sort of the mainstream big hits in the AAA, like Call of Duties and Destinies and those guys.
Cool. Have you gotten a lot of help? Like in Finland, there's a lot of game developers, and there's quite a lot of support. How do you go into have you gotten help from the networking and the events that are organized in Finland?
Sure, absolutely. So the Finnish community is obviously really tight. Like everybody knows each other. So we've been around in that community for a long while. Especially the IGDAs, we've been there since the start. I was personally in the very first meeting in William K on Annankatu back in 2003 or 4. So yes, so the Finnish community is, we're deeply grateful that exists, and it's a wonderful group of people, wonderful group of companies as well.
Yeah. Any recommendations to somebody who would like to work for your company? What are the skills that are required?
There's one thing that I always stress is that you should have a portfolio. It's not only for art people. Like portfolio sounds very like something that you have like a physical portfolio if you're an artist, but it's not only for artists, but also for programmers and marketers and salespeople. Everybody should have a portfolio, something that showing off like the stuff that you are proud about.
Yeah.
In a well thought out manner. As a coder, you should have like a GitHub account with code examples, your own projects. There's no better way to show your skills than actually showing the work that you've done.
And I agree with you. I think Finns, we have a little bit of an issue with that. We're like, oh, I'm nobody. I'm just doing my things here right now.
Exactly.
What is this? But it can actually, somebody has been working on a home project could actually be really useful, really great, and could be a beginning of something much greater. So I agree with you. I think that's a big thing for us Finns to just push ourselves out there and in a nice professional manner.
Exactly.
And doing these networking events, I love IGDA and I love the whole community, really supportive, really helping out, and these networking events where you meet other people and can present your stuff. But I do see a lot of people are still like, hello, I'm just
exactly.
But they might have a gold mine where what they're working with.
Definitely. And also like, simply being curious, finding out about stuff, like show that you're interested about the product and the company. Do some research. That always helps to sort of like differentiate yourself from the other applicants.
Yeah. Speaking of research, I have to go and talk to Yasin, who's your head of research, right?
Yes.
So he should know something about that.
He knows all about it.
Okay. But before I go, I think I need to work on my tan just a little bit more. So.
All right. I'll leave you to it.
Thank you.
That's nice meeting you.
Likewise. Hi, Yasin.
Hey.
Gasca. Is that okay?
It is okay.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm pretty good. Lousy weather, but regardless.
So your title here is head of R&D, research and development, and it's a term that comes up a lot. When you start looking into game development, it seems to be a crucial part. So can you open it up? What's R&D? What does it consist of, and what do you actually do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're a tech firm, right? So most of the work that we do here is actually programming, and most of the team here are coders, and my job is to make sure that the work that they do goes smoothly, try to help them as much as I can, which in practice means that I try to facilitate communication and then stay out of the way, because they're smart people, they know what to do, and I just have to basically make sure that there aren't too many obstacles. So that's my day job, basically.
Okay.
And also growing the team as well. So hiring a lot of people, or trying to hire a lot of people, it's really difficult right now. But that's
why do you think that is? Why is it difficult to hire people?
There's a lot of good competition here. So the people that we are after, they are sought after people in many of the big companies here as well. So we have lots of great competition, lots of great companies competing for the talent that we are after.
So you need a very specific set of skills to be able to join your team.
Yeah, and we've traditionally mostly been hiring fairly senior people as well. So that's a kind of a difficult equation. Those guys aren't proactively looking for new jobs, then you have to somehow lure them out of their current comfortable.
They get just transferred to a new company.
Exactly. That's the thing.
So what are some of these skills? If some of our viewers are like, oh, I want to be this kind of guy that everybody looks after, what are the skills that you need?
I'd say obviously the most important thing is that you are highly motivated and willing to learn. That's the key thing. And even though you'd be a senior guy, you'd still want to be able to improve yourself. And then for techies, we really value that you are a hobbyist. So if you've started programming as a hobby, then that's a big plus. And then then come the technical specifics like C++ and whatnot. But we have different types of programming positions, and those vary. But these are, if you are sharp, if you are a hobbyist, and if you are highly motivated and willing to learn new things, then those are the key elements, I'd say.
And to go back to research and development, what does that really entail? It's like you're googling stuff to research, and then you're developing things with a 3D printer, or how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, the things we do here, that's kind of a unknown territory, right? So a lot of the stuff is like the term research comes from actually going through academic journals and implementing stuff that's been described in scientific papers. That is actually one part of it. But then a lot of the day-to-day work is more about the development side of things. So taking that academic idea and optimizing that to be something that's actually production ready. So optimizing code, actual software engineering. So designing a huge software SDK or what have you to be efficient, to be something that's readily usable for our actual clients. So that's software engineering in a nutshell, I guess.
Can you name like one thing that you pulled out from an academic paper like that? I'm just interested in how it actually goes into.
Well, I probably won't name any specific papers, but let's say, I mean things like reconstructing geometry, for instance, okay. or things like taking 3D meshes and somehow reconstructing them to be more optimal in some ways. That's one example.
So we've already established that your company is a little bit different than some of the other places we've gone to, because you're not a game development company per se.
Right.
You're creating tools and technology to be utilized in other games. So can you go a little bit more in technologically? What is your product and how does it work and how does it help your clients?
Right. So the product that we've been mostly famous for the past years is software SDK. So basically a component that a game studio would integrate into their rendering engine. And the key benefit that they get from that is increased frame rates, so making the games run faster and smoother, and then enabling better looking visuals, basically, using that tech. And the problem that we specifically solve is called occlusion culling, or solving the visibility problem. So what the camera can see from a certain position in the 3D world, and basically disregarding everything that's not going to be visible in the camera view. And
so that's taking down the amount of parameters that needs to be rendered.
Exactly. And then that's the key thing. We are also working on new technology, which is basically still about optimizing real-time 3D graphics, but we're still in beta with that, and that's slightly more expansive and more ambitious vision in that product. So that's.
So at what time of their own roadmap would a company implement your technology into their project? Does it need to be implemented straight off in the beginning, or can it be implemented at some point to do what you just explained, to remove the unseen renders and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, that varies. Like, we recommend that you'd evaluate that tech even when you are like in the pre-production phase of the game. So the earlier that you can adopt the tech, the more benefit you'll get, because it has an implication to how the content is being generated and how the artists are going to work. So it takes a lot of this manual work out of the artists to actually empower them to focus on what will end up being the real game assets that are going to be visible, so they don't have to spend their time doing tedious work. So the earlier in the pipeline that you can adopt the tech, the better. But we do have some customers that have run into the problem very late, practically right before the release schedule. They've realized that they don't have enough performance in the game, so they want us to help them with their product, and that's a thing that happens semi-regularly as well. So we can help there, but you'll get more benefit when you adopt us early on.
Okay, so that's one technology to basically remove everything that's not visible, so the computer doesn't have to render stuff that you won't see anyway.
Exactly.
Any other technologies that can help out a game studio?
You mean from us?
Yes, that any other technology you have?
Yeah, we are currently working on, let's say, product that will enable this type of an automatic pipeline for taking in any any arbitrarily complex 3D models or even 3D worlds, and then creating a representation from that, which then can be automatically streamed in to the runtime, which basically means that it is an extension of the tech, but it solves visibility, but it also solves LODs and the streaming problem in the runtime, and that's what we're currently working on. It's not quite ready for gaming studios yet, but we are planning to release it for games as well.
Cool. So what you're explaining of your job description is a little bit like you're the Indiana Jones of the company. Like, how did you get into doing what you do, and what's your background? And
I am originally a hobbyist programmer, like many of us here are, and unlike some people here, I decided to actually graduate from the university, and I figured that, somewhat arrogantly I guess, in retrospect, I figured that I already kind of know what programming means, so I'll study something else. So I ended up studying industrial engineering and management, which then I guess gives you some type of a business perspective to things as well. Not quite sure, how sensible that decision, like looking back at it right now, but then that's kind of my background here. Obviously, we were friends for a long time before I even went to the university with the founders of the company, so that's why I ended up in this specific company.
That helps a little bit.
It does, yeah. But I guess I've always been interested in lots of things besides programming as well, and being curious about a lot of things, and then I guess I don't know, I guess I talk a lot as well, so that's why
that helps also.
Yeah.
You get into different places by talking.
Yeah.
So I like asking this question generally. Where do you see the whole gaming world going? Because we're living in a very interesting time now, where we have so much computing power in our variables or carryables, and the computer processing power is going crazy. We're getting VR and AR and stuff like that. Where do you see the gaming industry going, and where do you feel like your company is going to be located?
Yeah, I mean, that's again an excellent question. I think the AAA industry, the big titles, they are gonna push the boundaries still to achieve like photorealistic things, and even like movie quality storytelling. That's gonna be a big thing, and those titles are. I don't see the AA games coming back. I think the titles are going to get bigger and bigger, more expensive, and the production value there is going to go up. But then on the other hand, it's going to be super interesting to see what the possibilities that the new kinds of devices like VR, AR, mixed reality, what those are going to bring in terms of gaming experience as well. And to me, that's even more interesting at this point, to see like what the entirely reimagined games are going to look like in a few years' time.
And you're in a little bit of a different position than many other game studios, because they need to push out stuff. You're working on a technology, and you kind of have your own pipeline, your own roadmap you're following.
We like to say that you get to work with the best games and the best gaming studios in the world without having to crunch. So that's our pitch.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
and I envy you on that, because I know a lot of companies are needing to crunch all the time. Great talking to you. I think we gotta move forward, because we have a lot of other people we need to talk to.
All right.
But it was great chatting to you. All the best to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this was end of part 1. We're gonna head off and do some crazy stuff for part 2, so stick around. Thank you for watching the first episode of Umbra. In the next episode, we're gonna talk to Essi Heinonen, who is account manager, and also to Mike Savage, who is a junior programmer. And as usual, we have a very special treat for you in the second part, so stay tuned. I think I'm gonna hang out here, hide in the Umbra vault until the next episode comes out, just in case. Oh, and if you want to subscribe to our channel, click here. And if you want to see another awesome video, click here. I'm Christopher, and this is Devs.